Okay, guys. So let's start our lab. So today's lab scenario is there is an one small organization which is they are doing digital marketing, right? So as a service, so where they are working the employees they have around 50 to 100 employees they have, and they have some they are hosting some services servers like web server and mail server, storage server like that, and uh, they have only one they have a multiple departments like HR, creative team, and then finance team, marketing team, like that. But all the team employees, almost all with all the teams are have totally one up to 50 to 100 employees. Okay, so all the team they are connected with the same subnet, same LAN, but the client requirement is they want to achieve the user authentication. Okay, so they want to allow their internal employees to access the internet after authenticate. Okay, after authentication only, so only authorized users only they want to allow internet access, and inside that, so only marketing team and they want to allow social media access only for the marketing team, not for the HR team, not for the IT team or finance team. Okay, so only they want to allow only for the social media access only for the sales team. Okay, so marketing team. Okay, and rest of the team members they should access the internet, but they should not access the social networking application. So they should access the business need application only, not for the social networking application. And social networking applications can be approval only for the so marketing team. Okay, so this is the use case and this is a mini project. Okay, so this is the client requirement right now, and they have this is an existing network. Okay, so and this existing network, so this is the small topology. Okay, so we cannot add 100 in this virtual. This virtual tool is called PNet Lab, guys. Okay, so in this tool, I just simulate. So this one is your LAN subnet. Okay, so this is your LAN where all the employees are connected. Okay, all the internal employees are connected. So all of them, some of them from sales, some of them from IT, some of them from HR. Okay, so everyone connected with the same LAN. And as I mentioned, so they have a web server, storage server, and mail server, and all they have it. Okay, under DMZ segment. So that for them, they have it for server segmentation. I mean, for servers, they have a dedicated segment, different segmentation. For internal employees, they have a different segmentation, LAN segment. Okay, so in this use case, if you look at that, they don't have any VLAN concepts right now, and they are not having a active directory environment, so it's a small organization. So for them these kind of things are not necessary, so they have a less budget. So but still they need to secure their production network, and with a proper bandwidth utilization, bandwidth management, and with the restricted access for the authorized users. Okay, so these are all the things they want to achieve it. So this we are going to achieve by the help of FortiGate firewall, with a small where the FortiGate firewall, let's assume this is a FortiGate VM firewall. In a real-time scenario, in this use case, you can use FortiGate 80 or 60, 60, FortiGate 80 model or 60 plus model, right? So these are the models, or 40 also you can use it, but it's for feature enhancement purpose, FortiGate 40D you can use it, but for future enhancement it will not a proper device. So if suppose they are recruiting more employees like 100 to 150, in that case 40D is not enough. Even 100 users, 100 employees are try to access the internet simultaneously, 40D will stuck in it. Okay, 40D it's good for home based or small, very small scale network. And this is small network only, but where they have almost 100 employees are there. So they obviously their throughput will be very high. So your firewall, the 40D model is not suitable for that. So you can choose a 40 get 80 or above model. Okay, so with the future enhancement. Okay, so right now if you're not aware this, I know you guys are not aware of the model hardwares and everything. So just don't worry. And just consider this is the one of the hardware FortiGate firewall, and that firewall model is FortiGate 80D. Okay, so 80D. So this is suitable for small and medium scale industries, guys. Okay, almost where you can deal 100 to 200 users, max to max 250 users. It depends on the throughput. I mean, depends on the network flow in your production network. So this is fair enough for this client. Okay, so now what we are going to do? So this device only they already deployed. So it's this network is already deployed, so it's pre-existing network. So as a firewall administrator, what we are going to do, so they already deployed LAN segmentation and DMZ segmentation, and this is management network, and the port one is connected with the ISP network, internet. Okay, so LAN segment have 172.16.1.0/24 network, and DMZ have 172.16.2.0/24 network, and then ISP network, ISP internet have 190.168.1.40 IP. Right now, 1.40 is the IP for your port 1 interface. Okay, so 1.40 is the public IP, WAN interface IP of your FortiGate firewall, guys. Okay, from there only the users will reach the internet. Okay, so now the client said, so they don't have enough budget, so they are not using they want to achieve the user-based authentication for better bandwidth restriction, and then better access control restrictions. Okay, and better monitoring purpose. So if you're using a user authentication, so you can monitor the users, each and every user's activity who access this particular application. He may use any internal LAN PCs. The employee day one he will sit the system A, day two he will sit on the system C, right? So they will interchange the devices, and so we cannot restrict the services based on the IP. Okay, so we need social application access for social media application access for some of the team, and we are going to restrict the social media application access for the some of the team. So if we are going the rule with the IP based authentication, what will happen? So the let's say he is the sales employee and he is a IT employee. So sales employee need a Facebook. So we write the rule to allow Facebook based on this PC IP. Let's say 170. If system 172.16.1.2, if try to access the internet, then I want to allow Facebook. So if you are going to write the rule like that, and the next day the IT guy will know the Facebook accessible on the sales machine. So he will come earlier and he will sit the sales machine and he will use the social media applications, right? So this is not a proper access restrictions, right? So you cannot do proper access restriction based on the IP based. Okay, IP based, you cannot create the proper rule. Okay, so better access restrictions we can able to achieve it by the help of user identification only. So that purpose only the client need the user authentication. Okay, clear, clear, guys. So you can unmute yourself and you can acknowledge me if you understand the scenario.
Yes, understand.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, guys. Then let's go with the sorry. Then let's start the labs in a lab. Okay. So and one more time, I just want to show you the case study here. Whatever I said, everything here is there. So 50 to 100 employees are there. We need to do user authentication to access the internet for the internal employees. And social media access, we are going to allow for the sales and marketing team. And we are going to block for the HR and IT finance teams. Okay. And then to your infrastructure. So LAN subnet 176.1.0, DMZ 176.2.0, and ISP connect. We can connect with 192.168.1.40 IP. Okay, and then model you can whatever I mentioned that. And additionally, they have in a LAN an unmanageable L2 switch and DMZ unmanageable L2 switch. Okay, so that's why we are to restrict the access. We don't have manageable switches, so so we cannot create the VLAN scenario. And however, so for this use case, we no need VLAN as well. Okay, as per user requirement, to achieve that user requirement, so we need to we can achieve the user requirement with the two things. The user authentication, we can able to do it in a two ways. One is local user database, another one is active directory. So in this use case, so for active directory in a real-time scenario, they need one more they need to add, if they add active directory server. Okay, if they add active directory server, so that server they need to integrate all the internal PCs as a active directory members. So you need to do some changes on your network. And second thing, it's a licensed and you need a dedicated administrators to manage that. So as a small organization, they are not affordable to do that right now. Once they grown, then they can able to achieve it. They can able to affordable it, right? So as a startup, they are not affordable to that. So, but still they want that solution. So they want to restrict the internet access for the internal employees and bandwidth restrictions. To reduce the bandwidth utilization, and then better log monitoring features. Okay, to achieve the better monitoring features as well. So as a firewall administrator, we have to provide the solution here. So we are going to do user authentication without active directory. Okay, so we skip the active directory. So we are going to use local user database, guys. Okay, local user database to achieve the user authentication. In that, especially, we are going to use the concept called captive portal. So since we are managing the user database on our FortiGate firewall itself. How your FortiGate firewall will come to know that this user is logged in, this user is logged in, or in this PC, this by default your firewall will not know. So we need to feed the database. So that database we are going to create and feed it locally on our firewall itself. Okay. Then database is there, but firewall need to compare user input, right? So user has to provide the information, what is his credential, what he is, who he is, and what is his credential, and that information need to be authenticated. So to user have to, before access the internet, user has to submit their user credential. That might be their employee employee ID, or there some email ID, something else you can create as a user ID inside your FortiGate firewall. And that user ID and credentials, the users need to provide before reach the internet, guys. Okay, so for to achieve these use cases, we are going to use the concept in FortiGate. We are going to use the concept called captive portal, guys. Okay, so in this lab, we are going to achieve the user identification by using local user database by the help of captive portal authentication, and we are going to achieve the application control as well. Okay, so application control feature as well, which is available in your 48 firewall as one of the next generation firewall features. Okay, so before start user identification lab, you must know what is captive portal and what is the benefit of captive portal and all. So let me show you whatever I just mentioned, that is here inside that. So we are going to achieve user based identification to achieve the bandwidth restriction and authorized. We are going to allow only verified and authorized users only to access the internet. And then we can also monitor them, what they are doing, what type of activities they are doing, right? So in the internet, so that we can easily monitor, because all because of the user identification only, guys. Okay, so what is user identification? So the user identification is the feature which will help us to deeply monitor the each and every user in your production network. Okay, right? So, and why we need that? So that I already mentioned that. So for a better security, so where we are going to restrict the internet access, so unnecessary access, unauthorized access will not be able to access our production network and internet. So we can able to we can achieve more security on that. Okay. So right, sensitive data and data suspicious malicious activities can be avoided. And then second thing, we can monitor properly each and individual users, so we have all records who is logged in with this particular PC and what application he tried to access, what service he tried to access. Everything will be recorded, everything will be updated in your logs. Okay, so that it will be give a proper user visibility, guys, so to monitor each and every users in deep way. And then also we can allow the, based on the employees need, we can allow the application and services access based on the team needs. Let's say in an organization we might have multiple teams, like technical team, support team, and then sales team, creative team, like that we have a lot of teams based on their business. So the team will be different and the different type of employees will be there. So that team, each and every team, they need unique business application access to achieve our business properly. Okay, so in that case, group user based, group based access we can able to provide. Let's say so this is the task we are going to perform today. So we are going to allow Facebook for the marketing team and we are going to deny the so Facebook for the other teams, so that we can able to achieve by the help of this user identification. Okay. And so again, it's only authorized users only can able to access your corporate network. From your corporate network, authorized users only can able to access the internet. Or outside users can I mean, or you can allow guest users also to access your corporate network internet. Okay. After authenticate them. Okay, so all have, it's achievable by the help of user identification, guys. So this user identification, we have a different kind of user, two different kind of user identification in one is local user database. By using a local user database, we can, I mean, local user identification, which means the user information. How, let's say in this use case, 50 to 100 employees are there. So all this 50 to 100 employees user database, user credential, username of each and every employee, password, right? So everything will be stored in your FortiGate firewall itself. The database we will create and that will be stored in your FortiGate firewall itself. And that database we will use to achieve the user authentication. Okay. So in that case, that's called local user identification, guys. Okay. Or we have a one more option. So remote user identification. So this local user identification is suitable for the small scale industry, so where they are not affordable to invest a lot of money in the infrastructure, right? So let's say they're startup, small scale industry, and where they are dealing a less number of employees, manpower, right? So then that use case, in that scenarios, we can go with a local user identification. Okay, but imagine you are working in a MNC company, so where they have a number of employees, a number of sites are there, a number of employees are there. So that is not able to manage. If you can manually input, give a input everything as of in your firewall, but your database size will be increased, and then most of the process, right? Most of the processing power will be wasted only to verify the user authentication only. Now your through you in that case, you will be lost lot of throughputs, you will not get a proper output. So and it is not advisable where you are having a huge environment. So you can, so and that will make a lot of uh, network impact that will make a lot of impact in your network. So it's not suitable for the huge and enterprise network, and where they have a LDAP, an active directory kind of infrastructure. Okay, so most of the organization, they we will have a centralized user authentic user management system like Active Directory server, LDAP, Active Directories. service, right? So like that we will have it. So in that scenario, you need remote user identity. You can achieve remote user identification, and your LDAP servers itself, Active Directory servers itself, we can able to manage the user identification. Okay, but in a where you don't have a LDAP environment, so in that case you and very small user environment you have, employees you have, so in that case you can go with the local user identification, guys. Okay, so in this client requirement, as per this client requirement, so they don't have LDAP service, so they want to achieve the still they want to achieve the user identification, so we'll go with the local user identification, guys. Clear? So so we can achieve the local user identification by the help of captive portal method. So user database will feed in a in a FortiGate firewall itself, and that user, whenever they try to access the internet, they need to open their browser and they need to access, they need to provide their user credential. Then only if the user database is matched and the user group is available in your security policy to allow that particular users to access the internet, then only that particular user able to access the internet, guys. Else he will not be able to access the internet. So that we can able to achieve by the help of captive portal. And what is the remote user identification? Again, LDAP environment. You can have separate server to manage the user database. Okay, so that in that remotely you will manage that. So that implementation is called remote user database, remote user identification, guys. Okay, so and since we are going to in this use case we are going to achieve the local user database and by using a captive portal, and why we need a captive portal and what we can achieve in this captive portal. Okay, so again whatever we discuss, like captive portal, it's one of the budget and easy implementation user based authentication method. And it's we are not going to maintain a centralized user database, we are going to maintain user database in our firewall itself. So after achieve the captive portal, you have a better visibility and login information about your user activities, better info, you will get a lot of information about the user activities. And added advantage. So in this use case, we discussed already, right? So if user want to Active Directory environment, then they need a server and they need to add their internal resources as a part of the Active Directory member. So they need to do a lot of network changes, and it may affect sometimes it may affect your internal production network, right? And you have to spend a lot of money to as for that, and you need a more manpowers to manage your service, right? So as a small scale industry, that so if they are affordable, then they can move on it. Else they can simply achieve it by the help of captive portal method. And it is the second thing, again, it is very easy to manage. And then there it is not going to do any changes in your existing network. So it will not affect if your existing network is running properly, then we are not going to touch anything on your existing network. Without disturb your existing network, we are going to achieve the user based authentication in a captive portal method, guys. And again, you no need dedicated server for that, and manpower no needed in that. And then without VLANs, where you don't have a VLAN segmentation, right? So lord between the user privileges, right? So you can achieve user authentication, still you can restrict the in network access, right? So that you can able to achieve by the help of captive portal authentication, guys. So these are all the advantage when you're going a captive portal. And most probably you guys may experience this captive portal method in a campus network. So if you are trying to connect your organization, if you are trying to connect your devices like mobile or iPad, whatever else, so it will if you want to access the internet, it will ask you to provide in a browser itself, it will ask you to provide the user credential. Or in colleges and universities, you might see that. Or you might see this type of authentication in public forum like airport, railway stations, public network. If you want to access hotels, high-end hotels, right? So if you want to access the internet, they will give you one user input, user I mean the user credential. They will give you in the internet access code, in the name of internet access code. So that and all achieved by the captive portal only, guys. Okay. So in an organization, we will achieve this in a huge environment also, where they have active directory. So in that particular environment also, if they want to allow guest users to access the internet, so they will achieve using captive portal, or they want to allow their internal employees resources, their own resources like mobile, tablet. So in that case, they will use the captive portal authentication. They will separately maintain the guest network, Wi-Fi network, guest Wi-Fi network. And once you connected with that particular Wi-Fi network, and it will ask you to provide your user credential, and then you after provide the user credential through your device browser itself, you can able to access the internet. Okay, clear. So now we are going to enter into the lab. So captive portal we are going to achieve. Okay. So to for that we need to configure, I mean you need to follow these steps to configure your captive portal, guys. First, so we know the user database we need. So then only your firewall will identify he is belongs to which user group, and he is a, whether he is a right user, right? So he is a authorized user. He is belongs to so and so net group, right? So he is belongs to sales team or support team, whatever. So that can be identified by your firewall. So after user provide the input, so whatever the user provide the input, that need to match, that need to verify. So verification has to be done, authentication has to be done. So while doing authentication, it will try to match user input and database, whatever the local database you have. If any one of the data is matched and along with the credential, then it will allow the, if the policy says to allow them, then they will allow the internet access, guys. Okay. So that's what happened. So you need to create local user database and user group, that user information, user detail and user group. You need to create users and you need to add them into the proper groups. If they are belongs to sales team, you need to provide the sale. Okay, you need to add them into the sales group. If you are belongs to marketing team or HR team, the respective team, you need to add them into that. That user need to be added in that respective team. Okay. After that, you need to enable that authentication, you captive portal authentication in interface level. Okay. So interface only will enforce this authentication, guys. Your firewall incoming interface, LAN interface only will enforce this authentication. So you need to enable that captive portal on your LAN interface. And third step, after create the local user database, after enable the captive portal feature, you need to create firewall rule based on user based firewall. So if someone from the sales team in my LAN subnet, if they try to access the Facebook, I want to allow them. Someone from the technical team, if they want to try to access the Facebook, I want to block it. So I need to create user based firewall policies. So as a third step. And so of firewall policies, and inside that policy, I am going to achieve the application control. So if the sales user want to access the social networking application, so I can able to inspect if the user is belongs to, so if the user try to access the social networking application, so application control only can inspect what type of application this user is try to access. If it is a social networking application, if he is belongs to marketing team or sales team, the rule will be allowed as per you, how you are going to write the rule. Okay. So if he is belongs to some other team, if he try to access a social networking application, an application control signatures, sensors will monitor that application, and it will identify that, and after identify that application, it will try to match the rule as well. rule says Rule is going to say, if he is belongs to some other team apart from the sales and marketing team, so it is going to block that application access. So you need to create the security rule along with user authentication, user identification feature, plus application control feature. Okay, so these two things you need to achieve it, guys. Okay, and after that, finally, you have to test and verify the log, whether what type, which users are allowed to access the Facebook, which users are denied to Facebook. So this data you can able to verify after test the configuration, guys. Okay, so in your log you can able to identify that. Okay, so it's a very simple configuration. So it will so you need to do it these three steps. Okay, four steps you need to configure: local user database, captive portal enable, and then policy you need to configure, and fourth steps you need to test the policy. Okay, so these four simple steps you are going to configure. Sorry, guys. Now let's go to your lab. So let me access my FortiGate firewall. So before that, your FortiGate firewall need to configure basic configuration like interface configuration, LAN segment, EMG segment, everything you need to internal PCs, internal servers, that and all. You need to make sure it has to be configured. Okay, so that we will see in our upcoming session, guys. So everything will not be able to cover in a 1 hour, right? So I just want to, as a demo purpose, I'm taking this concept. That's it. So in our live session, we will see from basics each and everything. Okay. Using admin username is admin, password is whatever the password I put. Okay, so this is your FortiGate firewall console, guys. Okay, so this is your FortiGate firewall GUI console. It will be look like this in very first time. Okay. So what are all the menus? Everything we will explore in our upcoming session. So if you want to configure the interfaces, you have to configure from here. So you need for internet access, you need NAT, you need you need a default route. Default route I already enable. Interfaces I have already configured, right? So your segments has I already created. Okay. So rest of the features we will see in upcoming sessions. Okay, so here policy, if you want to create here only you're going to create a policy. Okay, and services object, NAT objects, IP objects, everything you're going to create under policy and objects. Okay, so VPN, you're going to VPN related configuration you're going to configure here. Next generation firewall features like application control, URL filter, antivirus file uh, file filtering, right? So that and all we can achieve, we are going to configure from here only. Okay, so under security profile, right? So uh, for us we need to do user authentication, and especially that user authentication we need to do it in a local database. Okay, so you have to go with user and authentication method, and you can see LDAP authentication. We can integrate the LDAP server with your Active Directory server with your FortiGate firewall, Radius server, Taka server. Okay, so that and all we can able to authenticate in your, we can integrate and we can achieve the user identification through remote user management system. Okay, so now we are going to use a local user database. So you are here only you are going to create local user and user groups. Okay, so you are going to create it. So this is predefined one which is in the name of guest. Okay, so that is already there in your firewall, and this is the predefined groups. So now we are going to create first user group. So as per this case study, right? So there have multiple user groups like HR group is there, IT group is there, finance group is there, and then uh, marketing group is there. So now in the demo purpose, I'm going to create only two user groups. One is marketing team, another one is HR team. So marketing team, I am going to allow social media access. HR team, I am going to deny social media access. Okay. So let's create a local user database. So create a user first and go to user and authentication, user definition, and create user here and local user type. Okay, we are not going to use any remote user authentication method, right? So we are going to use a local user database and we'll give next and mention your user information. So he is belongs to marketing team, right? So or sales team. Okay, like make it as sales one. Username is the sales one, and password I'm let me give. Okay, and then go next and I don't want to do any two-factor authentication here. So just leave it as of now. We'll do it in a later on on our advanced sessions. Okay, now go to next, and then this user belongs to any particular user group. Right now, I don't have any dedicated user group. I'm not yet created that user group for the sales team. So right now, I just want to create the user database, information. So just create one user account and create one more user account for this time. I'm going to create one more user account this time for HR team. Okay, not sales team. Okay, HR1. Username is the HR1. So you can give, instead of that, you can give a username as your employee ID as well, or email ID as well. So whichever is feasible, you can give it, guys. Okay. And go next, and go next here. So now we have HR1 user group user and sales one user. So both are belongs to two different teams. So I'm going to add them into the two different group. So instead of user, this time go to user group and create user group. So local itself, not remote user authentication methods. Okay. So this is sales team. User group name is sales team. And inside the sales team, add the members. You can see type is firewall itself. I'm storing the database in firewall itself. Okay. So go to select the sales employee inside the sales team, and now create one more user group, and they are for the HR team. Local firewall, and then HR1 is the part of the HR team. Okay, so now step one is completed, guys. I have created user and user group, and I have added them in locally in our firewall. Okay, and I have added them into the respective user groups. So now the second step, we need to enable the captive portal in we need to enable the captive portal in your interface, where the user has to be authenticated before access the internet. So in internal users, when they try to access the internet, I just want to authenticate them on my LAN interface itself. Why unnecessarily I need to allow to access up to WAN interface? So when they reach the WAN interface, they reach the internet, right? So I want to do achieve the user authentication in my incoming interface itself. Okay. So in my incoming interface itself, so here we need to port 2 is the LAN interface. So in this port 2 interface only, we need to achieve this user authentication. Okay. So we need to enable the captive port. Go to interface, network interface, and select your port to 172.16.1.1 is the IP of your port 2. Okay. Let's go to here, and I have enabled the DHCP services for my LAN subnet. Okay. So here, scroll down. Here you have an option inside the interface, security mode. Under network, you have option called security mode. You have to enable this only, guys. So enable security mode. When you enable the security mode, you can able to see the option called captive port. Okay, captive portal. You can able to see the option called captive portal. So here in this captive portal, again, we can achieve this captive portal by using local user database and external user database as well. Okay. But in our use case, we don't have a external remote user database. We are not going to map the users with the remote user method. We are going to use local user method only. Okay. So because we don't have Active Directory or any other remote user centralized remote user management system. So captive portal, choose captive portal, and the identification method is local. Okay. Because user database are locally in your file. Okay. And then any restrictions, you are going to allow everyone or only restricted users. So I want to allow internet access for sales and HR team members only. not anybody, anyone else. Okay, not others. Okay, let me add the group here, HR team and sales team. I'm going to achieve. So here I enable the captive portal for the specific user groups. And after that, I'm going to create a separate rule for say HR team and separate rule for sales team. Okay. But authentication has to be done on the interface level. So whatever the user group you want to achieve the authentication, so you have to include all the team. Okay. So HR team and sales team, I want to do user authentication. And after authenticate, I'm based on the security policy. If the HR team have accessibility to access the social networking or some other internet access. So based on that, your firewall will allow that access. Okay. Now that's it, guys. Okay. So just click OK now. So step two is completed. So local user database created and then captive portal is enabled. And now we have to go to the security policy. As a third option, we need to create the security policy. To create a security policy, go to your policy and object and go to firewall policy and create new policy here. So what type of policy? So the user requirement is we need to allow social Facebook access for marketing, I mean the sales team, and then for we need to block the Facebook for the HR team. Okay. So now create a rule. Allow internet with social apps access. Okay, I think it is making okay. Sales. Okay, so I'm allowing the social apps to the sales team. Okay, I think I have more. I'm I'm going to allow social apps along with internet services. Okay, for the sales team. So create schedule always I want to achieve this. I'm not going to schedule any only specific time. I want to allow, I want to achieve. So whenever my sales team employees want to access the internet and they should have internet access and along with social networking application as well. Okay. And business, whatever the business need application with social networking application. Okay. Accept and traffic is coming from the sales team is part of your LAN subnet. He might sit anywhere else. So the traffic is reaching to your LAN interface to WAN interface. Okay. So incoming interface is port 2, outgoing interface is port 1, guys. Okay. The traffic flow is LAN to WAN. So which means from LAN subnet to internet, it is going like this. This is the internet flow. So this is your incoming interface and this is your exit interface. Ingress interface and egress interface. So incoming interface is port 2, egress interface is port 1. Okay. So port 1 is the port 2 is the incoming interface, which is LAN interface, and outgoing interface is your port 2, which is a WAN interface, which I mean port 1, which is a WAN interface, and source. Source should be part of my LAN subnet because they are my internal users. They obviously have a IP from my LAN subnet only, right? So if someone else from other subnet, if they try to access the internet, we should not allow, right? So the users, our employees are lying under our LAN subnet only. So better to add your source address filter with your, instead of saying any, mention your dedicated LAN subnet. Okay. So create one address object here. LAN subnet interfaces port 2. LAN subnet is underlying on the LAN interface. And then what is the subnet? The IP schema is 172.16.1.0/24 network. So 1.1 is your LAN interface IP. Okay, that's it, guys. So source is LAN subnet. What is a destination user? So in my LAN subnet, there are multiple team members are there: sales, technical, support, HR. So I want to allow this social networking application access for sales team. So they should be part of sales group. So add your users at group. Here you can see that sales team, anybody from sales team. Right now we have only one user, sales user employee ID database here, but anybody from this, in future you might have multiple employees. So you can add them into this sales team. So anybody from the sales team, if they are belongs to, I mean, they are belongs to LAN subnet, and but they are belongs to sales team user group, then only I want to allow internet access along with social networking application. Okay, go to destination. So when you're saying that a user is going to access the internet, user might access any application, any service. We are not sure about the destination right now. So, or if you're clearly know about your business need and the business application might be deployed in a cloud, so you know that application server IP or your remote user, remote remote branch, you may have some machines, so that machines have some dedicated IP. If you know that, then you can just mention that as inside the destination. Or if this one is the general internet access along with the social networking application, we are not sure what is the IP of your Facebook. So if you're using an IP based filter again for the Facebook, right? So Facebook have multiple data center. So Facebook India, Facebook US, like that. So each servers will have different IPs. So that technical person who know very well in technically, they're like hackers, they can easily access the social networking apps. So we cannot achieve properly the uh, application filter. So better to make it any destination. Okay. So not with a particular IP, and also we need to achieve better control the traffic in a better way. We should apply the application control. So as of now, the destination might be anything. If they are belongs to LAN subnet, and if they are belongs to inside the LAN itself, if they must be a sales team employees, then only I want to allow internet access. So in their internet, so what are the service you are going to allow? So general internet, something they are going to browse it. So I am going to allow HTTPS services port number 443, and they are going to type a website name. So DNS query need to be acceptable, right? So DNS service. And sometimes they need the technical persons, they will check the reachability against the remote servers. So ICMP traffic, all ICMP. Okay, so these are all the clear cut filters I'm going to I'm not allow every port. I'm just allow what user need. A user need internet access, web access. So browser based internet access, right? So HTTPS they need, HTTPS service they need, and DNS service they need, and ICMP service need. Okay. Apart from that, any specific services like RDP, remote server, then they need to take remote access. Then you can just put it at RDP as well. Okay. So or some other something else. They might definitely they will use a remote desktop protocols applications like uh, team teams, Microsoft Teams, right? And they will use Zoom, something else for their meeting, right? So better to allow these services as well. In that specifically, you want to block or allow only specific applications, so you can just now this rule simply allow your external users to access, I mean your sales team users to access the internet. We are not yet achieve the application. So the second thing is, the first thing, they can able to access the internet after that. Okay, so they can access the internet services, anything. So let me, so if he is belongs to sales team, then he can able to access the internet. So let me go to, so sorry, I forget to enable NAT in my policy, I think so. Yes, NAT is enabled. That's fine. So now go to your internal PCs, Windows 2. Now try to verify the internet access. So Windows 2 not able to access the internet. What is the IP of your Windows 2? Sorry. Windows 2 have 176.1.3 IP. It's a part of your LAN subnet only. But as per the rule, the traffic has to be, I mean, the rule says to allow if the user is belongs to LAN subnet, and they must be a sales team employee. So now the user is belongs to LAN subnet only, but we are not aware he is the sales team employee or he is some other team employee, right? So we are not aware about it. So how your firewall will aware it? So user has to provide this input. So if he want to access the internet and he need to okay, so these are all the previous one. Yes, right. So when I try to access some internet services, it's redirecting to the authentication page, right? So previously, so this after authenticate only he can able to access the internet. So let me go to advanced reload like Google Workspace. I try to access. Okay, see. So let me Instagram. I try to access, but still I'm not able to access. Why? Because I need to put the input. I mean, I need to put your firewall has to authenticate. Only sales team people only they are allowed to access the internet. So the user has to provide the user credential. Let me open this new browser. See, ICMP is allowed, right? In our policy, we were allowed the ICMP. All ICMP services are allowed, but still the users are not able to access them. Okay, now go to the another PC, Windows 3. So now verify the IP schema first. He is 176.1.50. He is also part of your LAN subnet only. So now I'm going to access the internet. Still, he is not able to access the internet, guys. Okay, so destination host is unreachable. So okay, it's because of it's a bad gateway right now we have. So gateway is different. 176.1.1 is the gateway IP. Or better to get IP from our DHCP server. So this is the fresh machine, right? So in this machine, I'm trying to access the internet. Now he is also not able to access the internet, right? So now go to your browser because your firewall still it's not able to detect this user. He is belongs to which user group, sales team or technical team, support team, something else. So after identify that only it will allow him to access the internet. Okay. So now let me try to type and you can see that I got some notification. You must log in into this network before you can access the internet. So just open the network login page here. You can see your the same captive portal login page. So here only user has to be provide the user credential. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to provide the wrong user credential. So we have only two users, sales and technique. Sales one and HR1. So now I'm going to use support one the user credential, and you are going to see the result. Now you can see that your firewall has tried to match the user database, whatever you have given as a input. It's take this is as an input, and it's try to match your existing local user database. There is no user database in the name of support one. So now authentication is failed. So until unless you're giving the proper user account, then if the whatever the input you are giving that should be available in your local user database, then only your firewall will allow to after authenticate, it will allow based on the policy. Okay, so let me give now sales one. So sales one have internet access, right? Sorry, sales one have internet access. Now sales one and say HR one both are having internet access. We are not yet achieve the application control in the policy. We just have internet access only. Okay, so we in our policy we just mentioned to allow internet access only. Okay, so allow them password is, and now let's try to match the local user database. Sometimes it will take time. So now you can see that the authentication is done. That's why now the users are getting reply for the 8.8.8. So the page it's getting update. I mean, you cannot once the authentication is done, so it will not show you, but you have an internet connectivity. Okay, so users are able to access the internet. 8.8.8 is reachable. Now go back to the web page and try to access some internet services. You can see that YouTube is accessible. So sales team have YouTube access. They have internet access. Okay, so Facebook, whatever. Actually, they are able to access the internet. Now, sales team are able to access the internet. And what about the support team? I mean, the HR team. The rule says to allow internet access for both. Okay, I mean, inside my sales, I mean, sorry, in my inside my policy, I include only sales team to access the internet service. So right now, go to uh, another PC and give a user credential from not sales team. The is a HR one, right? So HR one is the username and password is okay. So now still he is authenticated. Okay, so he is authenticated already. But for this particular user, this access is restricted. I mean, internet access is restricted. So now go to your to identify that. Go to your user authentic. Sorry, go to dashboard and then FortiView policy, FortiView session, and you can see that 1.4 he is the salesperson, he can able to access some other internet services. 1.3 also it's not a salesperson, he belongs to HR team. He can able to access he try to access the internet, but still he is not getting any reply properly. Why? Because the rule not allow him to access the internet. Only the sales user only can able to access the internet. So and if go inside that, in my policy I forget to enable logs, so that's why we are getting some small info here. So go to the security policy, firewall policy. enable log all session of that particular user. And now, so however, so now the sales team able to access the internet, right? And now include support team as well. I mean, HR team as well to access the internet. So now go to the again sales and HR. This is the sales team machine. So which is having IP 1.4. Now go to your firewall log 1.4 is the sales one, the information you are getting here. 169 1.4 is a salesperson, but 1.3 is not yet identified who is the user. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, go to 1.3. So this is the 1.3, right? So try to clear the session. It's now, yes. So now it is working. So now HR1 I'm going to give, and the password is, and he is part of the approved team as well, right? So now once he got the authentication, now you can see that data is accessible. So which means other internet services, whichever in your rule you have allowed, everything will be accessible. Gmail, you can see that. And this PC have what, which IP? It's a 1.3 IP. Now go to your log. See 1.3 is not yet mentioned, updated with the user detail, right? Just refresh the log. Now you can see 1.3 user is HR1. And what he is using, what application he is using, everything, what is the destination and application, everything will be maintained. So now, as per the rule, HR team and sales team both are allowed internet access, but the restriction, application control we need to achieve the application control, right? So I want to allow sales team to access the social networking application. Support team, sorry, HR team, I want to block the Facebook access. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create two rules, two separate rules. Okay, so one is for sales team, one is for HR team. So edit and user. Okay, so leave it now as of now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one more rule to block the Facebook application and social media applications for the HR team. Okay, so deny social apps for HR team. Okay, so denied, sorry, not denied. So let me incoming interfaces, your LAN interface again. Outgoing interface is your WAN interface, because LAN HR employees are lying under the LAN zone. So when they try to access the internet, it will pass through your WAN zone. Sources, they are belongs to LAN subnet only, right? And user group is HR team, and the destination anything in the internet, but I want to achieve NAT enabled, and I want a service if when they try to access the web services. So HTTPS and DNS, mean I need to allow DNS services, and I need to allow ICMP service and enable NAT, and I want to achieve the application control. I want to block only when Facebook, the social networking applications are used by this HR team, I want to block it. Okay, but rest of the internet access, I want to allow it. So now this is the application. You need to go to security profile and enable your. You need to create a application control profile. So due to time concern, now I don't want. I mean, I don't want to go in depth manner. What is application control? How it is working? What is this category based? That and all. I don't want to. I mean, it's not able to complete within 1 hour. So these topics we will discuss in our upcoming session, guys. So the case study we need to achieve, we need to block social networking application access for the sales HR team. So now I'm simply create this rule to block the sorry application control feature to achieve the block social networking application. So block, what is this and all everything I'll explain in our upcoming live session, guys. Okay. In depth manner what is application control sensor, how it is identified each and every application, micro level application, everything. Okay, so here we have a category called social network, social media, make it block. And business related application only I want to allow it, and the rest of application, gaming related application I want to block it, peer to peer application I want to block it. Okay, so remote access, I mean email services I want to allow as of now. Cloud based services I want to allow as of now. Simply I'm allowing it or allow with monitoring feature. Okay. So general internet I'm allowing. Okay. So as of now, but after allow internet application, any internet general internet application I'm allowing it. But it's that application is part of social networking application. So I want to block it. So all type of social networking applications will be blocked hereafter. Okay. So so that's what I mentioned under the category social media. Okay. So we can block similar kind of applications by using category based filters. So much more about, we have a lot of advantage by using the FortiGuard category based filters, so that we will see in our upcoming session, guys. Okay, so let me click OK. Make sure the social media is blocked. Okay, and click OK. Yes, update, and make sure the user should be HR team. Okay, and enable the deep inspection. Okay, and log should be enabled. Enable logs and log generate the I'll generate the session. Okay, and security events. Okay, and just click OK now. And now in my existing policy I allow sales team and technical team both, right? So and my existing policy I'm not using any application control. So sales HR team, the in existing policy itself they have access to the internet and as well as other all kind of applications. So you need to do some modification in your existing policy. I just want to remove the HR team here. So only sales team only I'm going to allow internet access, all social kind of social application access as well without any restrictions. But HR team, I'm going to allow internet access if the policy action says accept only. Still I'm going to allow HR team to access the internet, but when they try to access the social networking application, I'm blocking it. Okay. So the block, I just blocked it. Clear. So now go to your HR team member, HR team user. So who has 1.4 IP, right? So that person only. Sorry, let me go back to the logs once again to identify that dashboard, and then go to sessions, and HR1 is under 1.3. Okay, sales one is 1.4. So sales can able to access the Facebook and application, other applications, social networking application 1.4. Now go to 1.4 and verify that. So he is the 1.4 person, right? So now go to Facebook access. Try to authenticate, and I get some error, right? And likewise, go to some other social networking application like Twitter. X is accessible, right? So because he is a salesperson, he has that privilege. Now go to HR and so first verify whether he has a internet access or not. Yes, he can able to access the internet and try some other services in the internet. Yes, he can able to access the mail, right? So now try to access social media application. This is previous one, right? Now try to reopen this. When it comes to the Instagram, it's blocking. And twitter.com. Okay. Twitter.com is not accessible. Go to linkedin.com. LinkedIn.com is not accessible because all are comes under the social networking category applications. Let me try to type some news related applications. Some let me type some other income tax departments or something else, right? Still, I have internet access. Okay, some of the applications along with the social networking application, some of the application we just blocked it. So maybe that is part of the application might be underlying this. These applications may be underlying with that. So check verify other general internet users. Okay. So www.com. I think we need to do re-authenticate. We need to be re-authenticated. Yes, we need to be authenticated. So let me go with Amazon. It's getting some catchy issue. So let me, yes, they have internet connectivity. It's a successful portal is showing that successful. So obviously we should have in again it's showing that. Okay, better to change that IP. So 155.0, 172.16.1.1. It's already authenticated, but still due to some catchy file, your browser is not able to show you the result. But in ICMP traffic, we got the result. So you can able to see in your firewall log itself. So who is logged in and when the applications are blocked or not. Go to log and report and security events, and there you can see under application filter. Okay, logs are not enabled, so that's why. Go to policy and verify log are enabled for the HR team. Logs are disabled, guys. So now go to logs, enable log as well. Now go to this PC and try to, we have changed the IP, right? So now refresh everything. Now this user, let's see, it's a fresh user. He is not able to access the internet because he need to authenticate. He is not yet authenticated. Okay, so same LAN subnet, but he is not able, not authenticated. So he until unless he is authenticate, your firewall will not allow him. So just go to the open page, login page, and authenticate. He is a HR team. So HR1 username is HR1, password is okay, and continue. Once authentication is done, and you can see he can able to access the 8.8.8 internet access, and go back to here, and he when try to access Facebook. Okay, so it's saying that Facebook it's blocked for him. Okay, so now go to Twitter. Okay, so it's because the applications are blocked. Now go to google.com and make sure your browser also needs support this feature, guys. Some of the old browser will not support the authentication method, captive portal authentication method properly. Okay, so you can use some other browser as well. So try to use updated browser, guys. Okay, so now go to Gmail. See, he has internet access, so the browser has to be supported. Okay, again, now go to your firewall. Okay, so sometimes the it's taking time to update the info. So now go to your firewall and verify that logs, firewall logs. So security events and choose your application control. And you can see that HR1 browser pause, it's allowed. It says it's the traffic is allowed for HR1, right? All the traffics are allowed for internet access. So HR1, one block application is there. One applications are blocked, and that is what? Twitter. So that is blocked by your firewall. And since he belongs to HR group, why it is blocked? And just verify that who is the user, HR1, what IP he has, 176.1.60, and he try to he belongs to which team? HR team. What is his username? HR1, and what application is he try to access? Twitter, and why it is blocked? Blocks social apps sensor, which we are created the application control feature, right? So that application filter is blocking that. So users are not able to access the internet, I mean, social medias. Okay. Action is taken by the firewall. What type of action? Blocked. Why? Which policy is blocking that? Deny social apps for HR team. So that policy is blocking it. Okay. Clear? 1.60, who is having 1.60? This PC have the 1.60. So he can able to ping the ICMP traffic 8.8, which means he has internet connectivity. But when he try to access the social networking application, it's blocked. Okay. So this is how you are going to achieve the user authentication, guys. Okay. So now what we achieve in this lab, so we just create the rule to allow some internet traffic with only with authorized users. So we achieve user authentication as well. We achieve application control as well, both. Okay. So today we have completed the lab with two topics. One is application control. Another one is user based authentication. So that's why it's take this much of time. Okay. In detailed manner, we will see in our upcoming session, guys. Okay. So each and every topics will be covered in detailed manner, guys. Okay. So as of now, we what are the tasks we have did today. So go to your, so we just allow the HR, I mean, support team, sorry, sales team to access the social networking. Along with the social networking application, we just allow this general internet access as well. The same way, HR team, we allow general internet access, but we just deny social networking applications. Okay. And also user based authentication we achieved for this use case, guys. Okay. So we just created the rule, and we tested the rules, and we verify the logs as well. So like we apply the policy per usage group, per user group, and we track the logs on your firewall. We created the local user database, and we achieved the application control for that specific users and internet access for the specific users. We control the internet access for this only authorized users only, right? And we also verify the logs and track the user activity, who is access that particular application, and from which PC, which means which IP, and what type of application, and why that application is blocked or allowed. So that action, everything we just mapped. Okay, clear. So any doubts, guys? So that's all about the today's session. And